Hey there, YouTuber. So this is the AsRock B660M Pro RS motherboard, micro ATX motherboard. In the video, we're going to install this i5-12400F. I'll also install an M.2. This is Gen 3, so we're not going to put it in here. We'll use the Ultra M.2 spot. And I'll also throw in 2 sticks of 16 gig RAM into this. Now, not that you'll be able to buy this, but you may find one on eBay. This is the Intel RH1 Laminar CPU cooler. We're going to use this one instead of the stock cooler. I actually got this with my i9-12900. Been trying to find a good home for it, and I believe the i5-12400F will be a good home for it. It's definitely not a good match for the i9, but it should work good for this CPU. Alright, so first step, let's pop this open. There is our CPU, and I don't know if you can read it, but text is going from left to right. We've got it oriented this way. I always orient my motherboards with the I/O shield to the left. That way I don't spend all day looking for this triangle, but there is a triangle here and in that lower corner. Sometimes you'll see it on the motherboard itself. And we're going to put this down in here, and one of the most common things for beginners to do is basically wreck your pins in your motherboard by not seating this correctly. So you should be able to see that that is in there pretty much squared away perfectly. You don't want to sit here and jiggle this around, but the mere fact it ain't moving anywhere tells me it's good to go. Now, the cover, I usually at this point remove it. You want to ensure, if you don't have a CPU in here, that you always have the cover off. You know, in the old days you used to be able to easily pop this off, but there's some resistance here, so we're going to do it by hand. The way the directions read almost makes it look like it's the old way of doing it. So we'll throw that to the side, and then I want to make sure that thing drops down in there. Pull the lever down, and boom. So we've got our CPU good to go. So this guy, need to clean that up a little bit more, but it's good this motherboard has addressable RGB on it. Alright. So somehow I lost the sticky tape on this, on a different motherboard, but this is going to go behind it. This is our back plate. And sometimes I can eyeball these. So the tape usually keeps it attached to the motherboard for when you flip it over, like I'm going to do in a second, so it doesn't fall off. And boom. If you do it fast enough, it won't fall over. Alright, we need some thermal paste. We're going to use this Arctic MX5. Plenty of good thermal paste out there. If you get, thermal paste with something like, I don't know, the V-True or ID Cooling, any of the cheap CPU coolers, personally I recommend that you replace it with something else. Now this is not one of my favorite thermal pastes here. I like their MX4, but this stuff almost turns into super glue, which isn't what you really want. So we're going to take a quick look where our CPU fan connector is. It's up here in the upper right, which is kind of an odd place to stick it. A lot of times they're right here, but so with that, we want to have this coming off of the upper right corner. Okay. And we're going to drop this down on here, gently of course, and hope that we line this up. And of course we didn't hit all four, but we're going to try and get a couple threads on each one of these before we tighten it down. And then just move it around. I kind of like to go diagonally after I do the first one. The same if I was using the stock cooler that came with the I5-12400F. So you can tell we're having problems lining this up. Not surprising. I don't think I hit it again. Yeah. Alright, so we're going to try a different one, folks. We'll come back to that one at the end. This is where you really want good lighting. And if you have to wear glasses, might be a good time to get them out. Alright, so I think we got this one going. 2 out of 4. I don't think that one's working. But you never know. Nope, we got it. 3 out of 4 now. So back to our trouble spot here. At this point it should be lined up. Almost like it's forced to be lined up. I don't think it is though, folks. We'll see though. Let's keep cranking. And in the background I am using my hand to, yep, that one's actually nice and tight now, to tighten this one. And then we'll come in, do this guy. And you definitely want to make sure that your CPU cooler is nice and tight to make sure the screws are nice and tight so that the face of the CPU cooler stays flush all the way across. So 4-pin connector goes in this spot, and it can only go in here one way. Boom, that's in. And then addressable RGB here. So I'm going to pick the one all the way to the right. You have to be careful with this because you can bend these pins, as I have done plenty of times. Ensure that you have this lined up correctly. You want to come in vertical, or perpendicular to the motherboard, and boom. So sometimes these things fight you, sometimes they don't. So we got a RAM in, or excuse me, next we're going to do a RAM. And as the motherboard shows, if you only have one pair of RAM, you'll do this one and this one. This is basically shorter than this one, so you have to make sure it's oriented the correct way to match the motherboard. And make sure it's in there just right, and then snap. Okay, we're going to do one more of these. The other thing to note that when you're looking at this orientation, you should be able to read this from left to right. I believe all RAM, if it has the logo like that, is set up that way. And one more in there, so those are good. Alright, now if I had a Gen 4 M.2, I would put it in here. Actually, folks, you know what? We do have a Gen 4. Let's go grab it. Now, I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure my Western Digital Black is a Gen 4. I have a 980 Pro somewhere. And this guy. This is the only two Gen 4s I bought for the channel. Otherwise, we probably have 20 Gen 3s. To be honest with you, Gen 3 boots the computer up fast enough. We may have woke the wife up. Alright. So we're going to stick this in here. So on the other side, you have this tape to remove. We get rid of that. And when you turn it over, the screws will come out. So just keep that in mind, folks. If this was a better design, the screws would stay in there. So I don't know if we're going to get to do this way. Yeah, we may have screwed up. I should align these up and then put the screws in. Amateur hour, right, folks? There we go. Alright, so that guy's in. And over here, hopefully this will get in there. And voila, we are done. Tighten that down. So, there you go, folks. That's the installation. Thanks for checking out the video. Please like, please subscribe. Thank you.